I'm Wendy Zuckerman, and you're listening to Science Versus. This is the show that pits facts against phones. Today on the show, how do we stop scrolling? Just last week, in a landmark case, Meta, which owns Instagram, and Google, owner of YouTube, were found negligent for basically creating addictive products that harmed a young woman's mental health. A huge slap to big tech today.
A landmark verdict that could change the face of social media.
Deliberately and negligently designed their products to get young users hooked on the apps.
They kept her endless scrolling, constant notifications, algorithms that learn exactly what keeps you watching.
The tech giants have been ordered to pay her $6 million. They're appealing. But this case has reignited a huge conversation over how these apps can just suck us in. The young woman's lawyer said during closing arguments that these apps are, quote, Trojan horses. They look wonderful and great, but you invite them in and they take over. Which, away from this case, is exactly the way that a lot of our listeners have been feeling about these apps.
I want to use my phone less, obviously, like everyone else.
I've been trying to quit for the last 2 years. It has gotten worse.
I want to stop doom scrolling. It just feels like I'm constantly consuming something off of a screen.
Surveys find that over half of adults in the US want to spend less time on their phones.
My mental health is just better when I'm off social media, and it's hard to get out of scrolling.
The question we have for this episode is this. Given that so many of us feel hooked, is there any way to unhook ourselves, to stop scrolling? Ironically, online, you could find tons of people claiming they've found the answer.
These are 5 really simple brain tricks that can help you break social media addiction and stop doom scrolling.
The first tip is friction stacking. We need to create as many layers between us and that damn phone.
If you can slay that dragon, if you can resist temptation, well, you can do anything.
Hi, I'm Wendy Zuckerman, and you're listening to Science Versus. This is the show that pits facts against phones. Today on the show, how do we stop scrolling? Just last week, in a landmark case, Meta, which owns Instagram, and Google, owner of YouTube, were found negligent for basically creating addictive products that harmed a young woman's mental health.
A huge slap to big tech today.
A landmark verdict that could change the face of social media.
Deliberately and negligently designed their products to get young users hooked on the apps.
They kept her endless scrolling, constant notifications, algorithms learn exactly what
reignited a huge conversation over how they think. Hi, I'm Wendy Zuckerman, and you're listening to Science Versus. This is the show that pits facts against phones. Today on the show, how do we stop scrolling?
A huge slap to big tech today.
A landmark verdict that could change the face of social media.
Deliberately and negligently design their products to get young users hooked on the apps.
They kept her endless scrolling, constant notifications, algorithms that learn exactly what keeps you watching.
I'm Wendy Zuckerman, and you're listening to Science Versus. This is the show that pits facts against phones. Today on the show, how do we stop scrolling? Just last week, in a landmark case, Meta, which owns Instagram, and Google, owner of YouTube, were found negligent for basically creating addictive products that harmed a young woman's mental health.
A huge slap to big tech today.
A landmark verdict that could change the face of social media.
Deliberately and negligently design their products to get young users hooked on the apps.
They kept her endless scrolling, constant notifications, algorithms that learn exactly what keeps you watching.
The tech giants have been ordered to pay her $6 million. They're appealing. But this case has reignited a huge conversation over how these apps can just suck us in. The young woman's lawyer said during closing arguments that these apps are, quote, Trojan horses. They look wonderful and great, but you invite them in and they take over. Which, away from this case, is exactly the way that a lot of our listeners have been feeling about these apps.
I want to use my phone less, obviously, like everyone else.
I've been trying to quit for the last 2 years. It has gotten worse.
I want to stop doom scrolling. It just feels like I'm constantly consuming something off of a screen.
Surveys find that over half of adults in the US want to spend less time on their phones.
My mental health is just better when I'm off social media, and it's hard to get out of the scrolling.
So the question we have for this episode is this. Given that so many of us feel hooked, is there any way to unhook ourselves, to stop scrolling? Rather ironically, online, you find tons of people claiming that they've found the answer.
These are 5 really simple brain tricks that can help you break social media addiction and stop.
Is friction stacking. We need to create as many layers between us and that damn.
You can slay that dragon if you can resist temptation. Well,
So how do you slay that dragon? Is there anything that can actually get us off our phones that's science approved? When it comes to scrolling, a lot of us have been
Endless scrolling, constant notifications.
and then there's science. Science versus scrolling. We'll be right back just after the break. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phone.
Okay, when I sell my business, I want the best tax and investment advice. I want to help my kids, and I want to give back to the community. Ooh, then it's the vacation of a lifetime. I wonder if my out of office has a forever setting.
An IG Private Wealth Advisor creates the clarity you need with plans that harmonize your business, your family, and your dreams. Get financial advice that puts you at the center. Find your advisor at igprivatewealth.com.
Welcome back. There's a lot of chat right now about how these tech giants have created social media apps designed to suck us in. Now we're going to talk about how to get unsucked. With Beryl Horn, senior producer. Hello.
Hi, Wendy.
It's been a while since we've been chatting about science.
Yeah, it has.
So, have you been spending all that time on your phone? Seriously, do you have a problem with scrolling, do you think?
Yeah. The reason I wanted to do this episode was because I find myself like just staring at my phone way longer than I kind of meant to, especially at the end of the day. And like it wouldn't even feel good. Like I would often feel like worse about my life or just crappy in general, and yet I'd spend all this time, scrolling.
Yeah. And this is a feeling that many of us have had, and it's kind of crazy to think about how pervasive this feeling is. So, Meryl, when it comes to this question of how do we stop scrolling, I mean, where do we begin?
Well, first off, the research does find that scrolling itself is especially bad compared to other things we do on our phones.
Okay.
So, like, one study asked people, like, how they felt after doing different things on their phones, and the researchers could spy on them to see, like, exactly what they were using their phones for. And they found that, yeah, it was, like, the scrolling that people said they regretted the most compared to stuff like communicating with their friends or, like, getting information.
Yeah.
You could also see this in how much they regretted going on certain apps. Like, after they went on Instagram, they would say that like 42% of the time. Or when they went on a messaging app, they only and another study backed this up, finding something really similar, but this one looked at memes. Again, found that people said their experience was more meaningless if they had just spent that time scrolling compared to this other stuff, which helped me understand, like, why it feels so bad.
But then why do you think?
The parts of our brain that light up when we're doing something rewarding do light up when we, like, see social media.
Okay. So that is why, we keep going back for more. So then, what happens next? How do we stop? And, I don't want to completely put the onus on us to work out how to unsuck ourselves from social media. The big tech companies clearly have a role to play here, but while we're waiting for them to sort it out, Beryl, do you have anything that we can do for ourselves?
I do, yes. So let's dive in and find out, like, what actually works here to stop scrolling. So to start, let's meet Chae-Jong Kim. He's an assistant professor at Chungnam National University in Korea. He's also had a problem with scrolling. For him, YouTube is the thing that would get him.
I kept on watching, and I end up watching something that I never intended.
Just get sucked down these rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Scientists are people too.
Yeah, but he has done a lot of work trying to figure out, like, exactly what strategies work to stop. Like, how can people break these habits?
Yeah.
And so I want to start with the most hardcore intervention that he's come up with. Do you want to guess what they did to help people stop scrolling?
Delete the apps. Put your phone in the bin. Buy a Nokia from the early 2000s.
Nice guesses. I guess it wasn't that extreme in a way.
None of these are crazy.
Well, not too many people would sign up for a study, I don't think, where they had to, like, get rid of their phones.
I would, Chae-Jung, if you want to go even more extreme, I'll sign up. Okay, so what did they do?
So his approach was to just make an app that would kick you off your phone. If you go past a certain time limit, then you couldn't use your phone for anything except to make phone calls.
Okay.
So yeah, first, there's about 40 people, and first you had to put in your goals for how long you want to spend on your phone. So like maybe you're using it for 5 hours a day and you want to get down to 4 hours a day. Then you got this special app, it's called Goalkeeper, and it had 3 different levels. So sometimes people would just get the easy levels, basically a control where you just get a warning message when you go past your time limit. And another one, you just get kicked off your phone for a little bit of time. But then the 3rd level is the intense one. So Jae-jung called this condition strong lockout.
Mm-hmm. And the strong lockout is what I was very interested. I'm eager to lock people out.
Just because you want to make people suffer?
Yeah, I want. I want to see the greatest effect. So we lock them out until the midnight after the time exceeded.
It's interesting that he said it'll come back on at midnight, like Cinderella. Because that would be the worst time to then get access to your phone. It's going to interrupt with your sleep. At least just keep it off until 8 a.m. or something.
That's true, but then people won't be eating up their time for the next day. So, yeah, people were very aware of like how much time they had left on their phone.
Okay.
And so everyone tried out these like kind of different levels of the app for 1 week. And I first wanted to know, what happened when people were in the week when they had the really hardcore approach, the strong lockout. First, let's just look at, did it work to get people to use their phones less?
Yes, it did. It's quite effective.
So yeah, people did use their phones for roughly 75 minutes less every day. So in that sense, it worked.
Yeah.
But then the caveat was that people really didn't like it, at least a lot of the time. Like they said they felt more frustrated and coerced compared to the control condition where they were just getting a little warning, but they didn't actually get locked out of their phone. And then they got really stressed out when they saw that the time was getting close to when they would have to get cut off.
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah, but I think the thing that was frustrating was that we use our phones for a lot of different things, right?
Yes, of course, yes.
So when we get locked out of everything altogether, it can be really annoying.
Yes, it's a big stick, that's right. And there can be days where you're off Instagram, but you've got a lot of work stuff to do, blah, blah, blah. You're traveling, you want to listen to a bunch of podcasts, and then you
just want to like pay for the subway. Like I do all the sorts of things with my phone. I don't want to be locked out altogether.
Yeah.
And then there's one other super kind of hardcore study I wanted to tell you about, since you're interested in, signing up for a study yourself where you just have to like get rid of your phone. So I talked to this researcher who set up the study where they wanted to cut the internet off people's phones for 2 weeks. But then when it was actually time to start the experiment and download this app that cut off the internet, a ton of people didn't actually go through with it.
Yeah.
So more than 40% of them just didn't even get the app, even though they signed up for this study. And then even a bunch of people who got the app kept cheating. They'd like re-enable the internet again and again and again during the study. So even though you think you might want something super extreme, it seems like for a lot of people, they don't actually want to do this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I could see myself falling on my own petard or whatever that phrase is. Petard?
Petard?
I don't know. I'm saying words.
I guess that's a loaf of bread. So maybe we should go in the opposite direction. Like, what if all we need to do to stop scrolling is a little like reminder, like a gentle nudge? Something that just asks us, like, are you sure you want to be doing this right now? So Jae-jung has also tried this approach. Like in a different study, he created an app where people would just get a little pop-up window when they tried to open up certain apps, and they could just get rid of this little pop-up with a little click of the button.
Yes, quite a few people have apps similar to this. Yeah,
I've tried this out before because the iPhone comes with like a screen time app that works similar to this.
Oh yeah, I have always wondered, does it actually work? Because the pop-up comes on and it's quite a low hurdle to just say, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, it's easy to hit ignore, but it does give you that little nudge, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so, yeah, Jaejong set up the study where first people had to put in a list of apps that they wanted to like stop themselves from going on to so much.
So we call it like the blacklist app. So it could be like, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube.
Got it. And then he looked at what happened when people got this little pop-up window. Did they decide not to go onto those blacklisted apps?
It has reduced the use about 10 to 15%.
Just from getting that little box that just says, do you want to continue? Yes or no?
Yes.
Huh.
And that little stop have made you think and reconsider your use.
So, what have similar studies found? Does this gentle nudging work generally? We've got Jaejong's study.
Yeah, other studies do find that it can work a little bit, like Jaejong's, but then a bunch of other studies didn't find any effects. So, yeah, I found a review that kind of looked at all these studies together, and bottom line, it called this type of strategy, quote, barely effective.
Okay, it's just too easy to swat that fly away. You sure? You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I want to stay on the app.
I just automatically ignore it every single time. So for me, it wasn't surprising that it doesn't work great.
Okay.
So I think, we need to turn up the dial back up a little bit now, right? Because, maybe the problem with these kind of approaches, the gentle nudge, is that there's not enough friction. So I don't know if you've heard of this like a buzzword online right now. Influencers are like, to stop scrolling, you need to up the friction.
Right. So the friction is too hot, then the friction is too cold. We need the Goldilocks amount of friction to stop us from scrolling.
And some of our listeners mentioned this sort of approach, like making it harder to use their apps, as having worked for some of them.
Now what I've tried and to pretty good success is hide all the social media apps on your phone. That has really helped.
I haven't found a bullet solution, but the Brick app has really helped me.
The Brick is something, I've been getting ads for it a ton. It's like this little device that you physically have to go to unlock your apps. That's sort of expensive. There's also cheaper ways to do the same thing. There's one called Touch Grass, where you have to go outside and take a picture of yourself touching grass before you can use your apps. So it's a really common strategy, but let's find out if it actually, what actually happens when people try this. So in that study that Jaejong did, where, people put in these blacklisted apps, in other cases, he made it harder for them to get to those apps. They couldn't just, click it away. People would get a pop-up window where you had to enter in a string of numbers before you could go onto the app.
Got it.
So sometimes it was only 10 digits long. Other times it was a 30-digit long number that they had to manually put in before they got to use their app. I asked Jaejong what this was like.
Very frustrating. And our participant mentioned that, there's one little thing. Once you failed to input 30-digit number at once, you have to retype it.
You start all over again.
Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, I was imagining that's what happened. Very frustrating. Okay, so surely that stops you going on. That feels like enough.
Yeah. So in the study, again, around 40 people, a few weeks long, he looked at what happened when they got these different kind of levels. And especially when they got the 30-digit number, okay too. So overall, it did work to get people to stop going on their apps as much. But there is a pretty big caveat to this, which is that once people were in the app, they then spent more time in it than they would have done otherwise.
You know what this is like, Meryl?
What?
It's like when people are waiting in line at an ice cream shop, and then when they get to the front, they have to get all the freaking tasters.
To take their time, yeah.
Exactly. But we're still waiting in the line, Heather.
Yeah, it's exactly like
Is this
that.
what happened? Yeah. Okay.
Here's Jay.
So once they got in, so hey, once I got in, I want to use this for 30 minutes instead of like 10 minute, 3 times of 10 minutes sessions.
Oh.
So the frequency decreased, but the total time remained the same.
So overall, people didn't actually spend less time on their blacklisted apps. So like, I mean, maybe this is still helpful if your goal is to go on to your apps less often, to like kind of do that checking, like habitual checking less.
Yes.
But if your goal is to spend less time on your phone, it might not work to do this kind of friction approach. And then one final thing from the study I thought was interesting. They looked at what people did when they did decide to not go on to that naughty listed app. And it turns out about half the time people just went to some other app instead. So they were still on their phones often, just doing something else that maybe they thought was better for them because they didn't put it on their blacklist.
Okay. Yeah, that feels right. I mean, if you're sitting on the toilet, you gotta look at something.
You gotta do something.
All right, so here is what we have learned thus far. If you want to stop scrolling, adding some friction is a good idea, but if the hurdle is too low, like a little pop-up, it's not going to work. If the hurdle is too high, once you jump it, watch out, because then you might be spending more time scrolling because you're so proud of yourself for putting in those 30 digits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that might sort of backfire once you get in.
So is there any Goldilocks amount of friction then?
Well, there was actually an approach that nothing to do with friction at all that I found that it seems to be the best way to stop scrolling according to the science that I found. So I'll tell you what that is after the break.
The Mattamy Homes Bike for Brain Health supporting Baycrest returns on May 31st for its 5th anniversary with a new start and finish at the Aga Khan Casino. Join thousands of cyclists as we take over the DVP and Gardner Expressway in support of dementia research and brain health. Riders of all abilities are welcome, and both regular bikes and e-bikes can participate. Bring your friends, family, or corporate team and make an impact. Register today at bikeforbrainhealth.ca.
Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair. Ever order furniture online and wonder what if it doesn't hold up? That sofa was 4 days old. You should have ordered from Wayfair. With Wayfair, there's no what if. Just style you love and quality you can trust. Visit wayfair.ca.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
AI is moving fast across the enterprise. But without visibility, it's just chaos. Different tools, different models, different teams using AI in completely different ways. ServiceNow turns that chaos into control. With the AI Control Tower, you see all your AI across the business in one place. What it's doing, what it's done, and what it's about to do. So you stay in control. To put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com.
Welcome back. Today we are talking about how we can stop scrolling. Meryl Horn, senior producer at Science Versus, has been looking into this, and I think you've promised us a solution.
Yes,
Scrolling
kind of.
dilemmas.
Yeah.
Is that, am I overselling?
I mean, I think it's a solution that's definitely worth trying.
Right.
Yeah, and it is something that is even easier than a lot of the things we've been talking about to try.
Let's jump in.
So next we're going to meet Dr. Leah Kristen Vickard. She did a study on this. She's a researcher at the University of Koblenz in Germany. And like basically all the researchers that I talked to about this Leah also got into this for personal reasons. She's a psychologist.
In psychology, we don't do research. We do research.
Oh, yes. Research.
As you can imagine, I have a problem with my phone on my own. So I realized, especially during COVID, that this is a research topic that could really help me with my usage pattern, using my phone, using social media in a healthy and beneficial way, and not only doom scroll the whole day.
What has she uncovered?
Well, so the idea for her came up in a meeting she was having one day with some students where they're basically brainstorming ways to stop scrolling.
One of the students talked about, okay, but have a look at our old phones, like the first phones we ever had. It was like, in Europe we had these old Nokia phones. It was a black and white phone. We used it to text somebody, we used it to call somebody, maybe play a game, but that's it. And then we discussed, okay, like how can we arrange that nowadays?
Can we make our phones crappier like they used to be?
Not to make it more crappy, but to make it less attractive. And we realized all those saturated colors, your blinking red push or notification button, all of those colors keep you distracted and keep you on your phone.
So yeah, the colors. We know from studies that people generally prefer bright colors. It's probably why our apps are all rainbow colored. And so the idea was maybe if we get rid of these bright colors, make our phones black and white or put it in grayscale, we'll use our phones less. Have you heard of this approach, Wendy?
I guess I know some people, obviously, who have their phone on grayscale, but I didn't know that this was a tactic to get them to stop using their phone so much.
Yeah, so do you want to try it, Wendy?
Sure. All right.
And if listeners want to try this too, so on both iPhones and Androids, it's under